Jeffrey, let's do it again.
Part two.
Part two. We had so much to talk about in part one, and it was getting a bit like, we got to keep people's attention.
Yeah,
so
nobody's going to listen to us for drone on about AI for half
an hour straight. So
we'll break it up. This is part two,
This is part two. Let's go. One of the things that you had several months ago had said is make sure you get the Excel plugin into Claude Code and make sure you get the PowerPoint plugin. Did all that.
Sorry, the other way around. So the Claude plugin
into Excel
and
yes,
into
thank you.
PowerPoint.
So now I have my Claude Code plugin for Excel, so I can pull it out easily. And so I'm going to this conference. It's a global conference for a global members-based organization. We have a bunch of big decisions happening, including an election at this annual meeting. And there were multiple 100-page documents with all the information. And I have almost as short an attention span as you. And there was no way I was going to be able to take all that in, right? And make something of it. So I took both documents, put them I used Claude Code for this one. And I framed how I thought it should actually frame it out for me in Excel. And it took probably literal 5 minutes of working. So it wasn't like it was like that, but literal maybe 5-10 minutes. I went away and came back, but it created for me this amazing document that for our whole team that's going became, put everything in one place, summarized the important aspects to it, and also gave us, I think, I'm going to call political intel.
Right. And it put this into Excel.
And then it dropped it into an Excel file that then I was there able to share with everyone else. And then we started adding to it with other things.
Did you start in Excel or did you start?
I started in Claude. Should I have started in Excel? Because I had these two documents.
Yeah, I think it depends on how much work you want to do with the data in Excel afterwards.
Right. Got it.
Right?
Yeah.
Sounds like you took text files
first,
they were
PDF, two big
and
PDFs.
said, hey, give me, so I think that's fine. If you have something, especially very data heavy, I would probably start in Excel.
Yeah. And it was interesting too, because then what I did was I used my Otter AI to do the transcript of the Meet the Candidates meetings. And then I put those back into the same chat and said, okay, and then how does what that candidate talked about in the Meet the Candidates match up against what they actually put in their platform in the pitch document? How are they the same? How are they different? And how does what they're saying stack up against our candidate and her platform? And it was just so interesting and useful because it's a lot of information, and I could have done it all myself, but it would have taken me days.
So I know that the event you're talking about, and I'm excited to hear how it goes. The only thing that pops into my head from an AI point of view is, I don't know if you've heard about these little recorders. One's called Plod. There's a whole bunch but they're essentially like recorders, right? Yeah. It would be very interesting if you could take those. And I don't know, privacy-wise and stuff like that, if you can do this. But if you recorded every conversation we had, because I know you're going to have a bunch of conversations before the vote, right? And then kind of throw that into AI.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. Yeah, these ones, at least, they were officially recording, so I knew I could record.
Right.
So, but anyway.
Interesting.
Yeah. Okay, so now let's shift into everyone's using AI, amazing. We can all use it better, and every day we're going to learn something better about it. Like every time I talk to you, you've learned something new, and I'm trying to, catch up. But because of this, so much usage of AI is happening in a smaller organization, easier to watch and to control, or maybe control is not the right word.
You even said you got limited.
I did myself personally.
You got limited.
So I was trying, I got limited. So what I was trying to do was I was trying to create a competitive map for an organization that I'm involved with and the industry. And I was trying to do, typical good sort of MBA 2x2 matrix to really understand where all the competitors sat. And I gave it a bunch of information around, this is the competitive set. Here's what I'm looking for. But I didn't give it a ton of information. So that meant that Claude had to go out and find a lot. And so I let it work. And I knew that I was asking it something quite significant. So I was letting it go, and I was letting it go, and I was letting it go.
And you were using 4.8
I was
extra
using,
high, or
well, yeah, whatever I have access to. I like you, I just leave it on the max.
yeah,
Whether that's good or bad, but I did that this time because I figured it was going to need as much of that firepower to be able to put this competitive map together. And it came back to me and said, "You're timed out."
hold up.
I have never had that before.
Yeah,
I have never personally been like, I've maxed out.
And to your point, more people are finding more uses and
putting more complicated things into into these platforms
and burning more tokens as a result.
More tokens. And so, and then I came across this week 2 different times where that's the case. And so, and then I listened to your LinkedIn piece and when I want to talk about the hardware.
Right.
But I'm going to come back to that. So one of my fellow board members was talking about an organization that she's involved in, and they're actually having to sort of throttle people back a little bit in terms of how more in the developer space than the average bear in her organization. But they're having to get more firepower in terms of the machines, and they're having to be thoughtful about the tokens. And this is like I won't say the industry just so that I sort of protect her a little bit, but it is in a sector, and it's an AI company in a sector. Like that's their role. So that was interesting. And then I listened to one of my favorite new podcasts, which is called the AI Daily Briefing. And he was talking about the folks at Walmart just recently actually they have something they've created, their engineers created, called Code Puppy. And it is essentially, it brings, you can tell me the right language for this, but it basically brings together all the different AI tools and then therefore a developer can use them at their choice.
Kind of like Cursor has, like, you can choose the LLM that you want to use, and it's a harness to write code.
Harness, that's the word. Okay. So Walmart developed Code Puppy. They've actually since released it into open source, but they found that they were getting up against a huge budget constraint, like how much the tokens were costing them. So there's like twice in a week where I've heard about this. So, and then when you said on your LinkedIn video that you're also now finding you need more expensive computers because they're just working so hard.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting for sure, right? There's 2 parts to your question there. The first one, which is the hardware, right? So, well, it's actually the second question, but I can answer it first. It's the first time in the 14 years that I've been running Parkfinity, which is, we develop software is what we do, right? First time I've had any of my developers say, hey, my computer can't keep up to what I'm doing, right? They always had decent, we always were a Mac shop. They had decent Macs and everything else. This is the first time where we're like using so many agents at once and going and burning so many tokens. The agents is the big thing because it uses so much memory. So, we had like a 16 gigabit MacBook, which was decent, a couple of years ago. Now we're going to 128 gigabyte memory workstations, which are, they're $5,000-$6,000, right? Apple's got the M5 chip where, to get that much memory, you have to go to the max chip. The processing isn't so much the issue for us, but, and ultimately, and that's just to run agents, right? We're not hosting locally any LLMs or anything like that. Now, to answer your next question, that's part of the solution, I think, as well. But this is the first time we've seen that, and it's pretty incredible. Like
maxed out in the hardware.
And I think, like I said on my post, I would happily pay another $1,000 a Mac to get twice as much, even $2,000 more to get twice as much memory because it's just so efficient. Like one of our developers the other day, she was telling me that she was working on a feature, and she literally told Claude that she was going to bed. Here is the task that you have to do. I want you to do the front end and the back end. And I want it to be done by the time I get up in the morning. And sure enough, it wasn't perfect. I'll give you that. It was like, I would say 93% of the way there. And it just just goes. Like you don't have to be there.
Yeah. And so essentially you've got a team that's working all the time, not just the developers, but the agents that they're directing.
Yeah.
And that continues to just take up more and more and more.
Well, and agents now will spin up sub-agents. Like in the example I just gave you, we have one orchestrator agent, and then we have a back-end agent and a front-end agent. And then some of those often have agents that are specific to it. So, and that's when she's asleep.
Yeah.
You know,
so then when she's awake, she'll get another line at the time.
Going. Exactly. Yeah. It's pretty incredible.
And it's growing exponentially.
Oh,
which I think
100%.
is so interesting. So maybe let's end on, I think, a debate that we're having around, so what is the right framing of this for going forward? Efficiency, effectiveness, but also small organization, large organization.
Yeah.
So you have an organization of 8 people, and your philosophy is what about this right now?
Well, right now we are in the do whatever you want and learn phase of this is AI. We need to figure out how to be more efficient. And, we went from, always being developer constrained to, we had all these ideas in the pipeline where they come to the bottleneck is development. And now all of a sudden that bottleneck is moving.
Yeah.
Right. We've gone from, agents to write the code. We have agents that will review the code, and we're automating some testing, but that's where the bottleneck has moved now is to testing. Right. So like I said, our policy right now is go experiment, then learn whatever you can. But like you say, I have 8, 9, 10 people using AI.
Yeah.
I mean, we burn lots of tokens. We also have APIs for some of the applications that we have, and the tools that we provide and that we sell as part of the product. And that's fine because it's revenue generating typically, so it's actually good.
Yeah.
But which gets us into a whole other conversation of how you sell in the future.
Yes.
You're not selling hours anymore or seats. You're selling value. Or outcomes, like you said.
Yeah.
So, and then the other side, the efficiency, like Walmart. If I'm Walmart, I'm looking at, Walmart's huge enough that they could probably even look at making their own LLM. But I'm deeply looking at open source models. Which, unfortunately, when you say open source now, it means Chinese. And not that I have anything against that. It's just they have a different view on IP and and watching things and all that kind of stuff. So there's always the question of security like that. So.
And so I think what's interesting over the next period of time, we're all still learning, we're all still experimenting, and we all need to continue to do that. Otherwise we get left behind. In an organization of say 10 people, you're close enough that you can keep an eye. Right. You can encourage the experimentation and the learning journey, and you can also go, whoa, if you need to. Right.
And we have caps, right? So we get notified when we're getting close to a cap, when we hit a cap. And usually we'll say, okay, we'll bump it up and we'll watch it, right? Because we're adding value. But like if I got 8,000 people in my organization, that's a different story.
Really is.
So I can imagine what somebody like Walmart is up against, because you don't want to slow down.
No. And it is actually, I think, something that, and we've talked the other day about this too, with a lot of corporate controls, especially with the public company and the different kinds of audit trails that need to happen. This is a whole new thing that nobody thought that they needed to audit 6 months ago.
Yes.
Right. And there's going to be a whole new aspect to that too, which is going to be very interesting as we all continue to learn.
I mean, there's auditing the cost, then there's auditing the decisions that AI makes. And it's going to be interesting.
And just auditing those decisions and auditing how those decisions get made is still a bit of a black box. So that's going to be interesting over time. Whole other conversation. Okay.
Wow. That was fun.
That was great. So still lots more to learn, still lots more for everyone to experiment with. I think that's our big theme is just keep experimenting and be mindful of how you're doing it.
I mean, honestly, if you're an individual, especially, I think it's like you hit those limits. When you keep hitting those limits, then bump up your plan. And just keep going, because you're getting value. If you keep doing it, you're hitting it, you're getting value. It's worth $200 a month. honestly, $200 a month is the best deal going out there
Right.
now. You get so much. They're subsidizing that. They must be subsidizing that so much.
Yeah.
And it's probably never ever going to be a time when you have access to the leading models
Yeah.
in the world for $200 a month.
Yeah. Yeah. Eventually, though.
Yeah, eventually the frontier models they're going to keep the best ones to themselves eventually, right?
Yeah.
Or they're going to just give them to large corporations who are paying them way more than anybody else, especially as compute becomes more and more harder to find, right? So, and memory. So.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's a whole other...
We got I think we came up with 3 or 4 other topics coming out of this.
See, we shouldn't wait so long to do.
Right, there you go. We'll stack them up. All right, well, onward.
Onward, here we go.
Here we go.